6 animals that could have defeated an American lion. Other than a small subpopulation in India, lions are mainly restricted to the continent of Africa. And though the African lion is scary enough, he wasn't the only terror in the lion family. A while back, there was the American lion, and he may have been even scarier. But even with the fear and pain that the American lion inflicted, he wasn't untouchable. There are animals that could have defeated him. Just how scary was this American lion? Terrifying. We'll tell you all about him, but first, be smart. Grab a blanket to hide under and subscribe to the channel. Ready? Let's go. American lion. The African lion is the cousin to the now extinct American lion. The average male African lion is about 7 or 8 feet long and 500 to 600 pounds. Once in the early 1900s, during construction of a railroad bridge, somewhere between 30 and 100 people were killed and eaten by African lions. It's estimated that 250 people die each year from lion attacks, and humans aren't even a main source of prey for the lions. Scary, right? That's the African lion. The American lion was even scarier. They lived during the late Pleistocene epoch from about 129,000 years ago and have gone extinct around 11,000 years ago. So you're lucky. They would easily exceed 8 feet in length and usually weighed 900 pounds, though it is believed that often enough, full-grown American lions could exceed 1,100 pounds. They were a bit longer than their modern cousins and at least 1.5 times the weight. In some cases, closer to twice the weight. That gives you quite the idea of the stature of the American lion. He was far more robust and muscular than today's lion, or any of today's big cats for that matter. The American lion's top speed was 30 miles per hour compared to the 50 miles per hour of today's lion. But what he lost in speed, he made up for in strength, including upper body strength from his forepaws, which were so powerful that he could grip and hold down large prey while he bit away with jaws that, get this, were stronger than that of any living cat today. 1,800 pounds per square inch of pressure. That's the weight of 2 grand pianos for every square inch, accompanied by 4-inch teeth. That sounds like a nightmare. But American lions were far from the only dangerous animals on Earth at that time. Shortfaced bear. Also living around the same time as the American lion, going extinct between 12,000 and 13,000 years ago, is the short-faced bear. Also called Arctodus, this animal not only lived during the same time as the American lion, he inhabited much of the same areas, spanning much of North America from western Canada to Mexico and across most of the United States. The short-faced bear preferred many open habitats, just as the American lion did. Other than the short face, there wasn't much else short or little about this bear. Today, the largest land carnivore in the world is the polar bear, and the short-faced bear was not only larger than him, but he's believed to be one of the largest terrestrial carnivores that's ever existed. Short-faced bears could be 5.5 feet tall at the shoulder and were 11 feet long. A polar bear can reach 10 feet in length, and the absolute largest ones can hit 1,700 pounds. Well, the short-faced bear weighed 2,100 pounds. He was a monster posing as a bear, and he was a force to be reckoned with in North America. Not only was it larger than any living bear, and stronger due to the fact it could lift and drag weights far heavier than itself, it also had a stronger bite than any living bear, 1,500 psi. That's the only area the American lion would outdo the short-faced bear, but when both their bites are that strong, they could both inflict serious damage on the other. However, the short-faced bear was just far larger and stronger, and probably had the American lion realizing he was not the top dog on the continent. Speaking of top dogs, how about some ancestors of today's dogs? The dire wolves. Pack hunters, just like today's wolves, but is there reason to fear them more than modern wolves? If you think a stockier, more robust version of today's grey wolves is scarier, then yes. Grey wolves can be around 150 pounds on average, and sometimes can get closer to 180. Dire wolves floated around 175 pounds, and could get even closer to 200, but they were more muscular and powerful, with shorter legs and larger shoulder blades and pelvic bones, built more like furry tanks. Grey wolves have a bite force of 1,200 psi, and though it's difficult to determine the bite of the dire wolf, everything in their mouths suggests it was even stronger. They hunted in packs successfully, just like today's wolves, hunting large prey and using advanced communication to strategize and take down their targets. Wolves today can take down deer and elk. The dire wolves were pulling down large wild horses and bison. They were ruthless, and when working in a pack, they would be near impossible to stop. An American lion trying to stop 4 to 6 of these direwolves attacking from all sides, it would only be a matter of time before they completely overwhelmed him and brought him down to the ground. Direwolves were found in the steppes of Eastern Asia, along with the arid savannas of South America. And then they lived in habitats all over North America. In the US alone, remains of direwolves have been found in at least 20 states, including California, Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Missouri, and more. So, since they lived on the same continent, it's highly likely that the scenario of a pack of direwolves bringing down an American lion happened many times. Smileodon. Let's be honest, when you think of a prehistoric killer cat, the American lion isn't the one you think of first. It's the Smileodon, better known as the saber-toothed tiger. But do we think of the Smileodon first just because of his unique appearance? Or is it because he really was a more dangerous cat? There were 3 known subspecies of Smileodon: Smileodon gracilis, Smileodon fatalis, and those 2 weren't enormous and might have some trouble with the American lion. But then the 3rd was Smileodon populator. He was the largest and comparable in size to the American lion, ranging from 7 to 8 feet long, weighing at least 850 pounds, but it suggested that large specimens could have been over 900 and even over 1,000 pounds. Smileodon lived in South America, but hunted a lot of the same prey that the American lion did: bisons, camels, and potentially young mammoths. You have to be strong to take those animals down. And Smileodon was so powerful, especially in the forelimbs, which he used to hold down his prey, just like the American lion, and then deliver the fatal blows. Now, Smileodon didn't rely on an extravagantly devastating bite force like the American lion. No, his bite was weaker than even modern-day tigers and lions. What he relied on was his robust stature, his muscular build, and most importantly, those famous teeth which could grow 8 inches, 9 inches, sometimes more than 10 inches long. The American lion would deliver powerful bites to the Smileodon. However, that's if he was able to get his attack in before the incredibly long teeth of the Smileodon pierced his skin, his flesh, and dug deep, potentially hitting vital organs. Those saber teeth killed their fair share of large animals. Woolly mammoth. Speaking of prehistoric felines killing large animals, that brings us to the woolly mammoth. Yes, Smileodons and American lions alike hunted and killed young woolly mammoths at times. That was a challenge on its own, seeing how big even the young mammoths were, but then you had to worry if the parents were around. Defensive parents protecting their young at all costs. A fully grown woolly mammoth is 9 to 10 feet tall at the shoulder, he's more than 12 feet long, and he weighs 16,000 pounds. Picture this: something as tall as a basketball hoop, something as long as a hatchback, and something that weighs as much as 6 of those same hatchbacks. Oh, and it could run 25 miles per hour and had 13-foot-long tusks that weighed over 400 pounds each. No matter if you are the massive and powerful American lion, if you are attacking a woolly mammoth's child, you are going to get rammed by this behemoth. And if one of those tusks angles in at you, it's either tossing you far or it's going right through you. You won't want either to happen, but maybe the first option is better. Giant jaguar. In terms of options, the American lion is probably not choosing to tussle with any of the animals we've mentioned so far. He's avoiding the Smileodon, but that wasn't the only large feline he'd encounter back in the day. Roaming much of the Americas was the giant jaguar. Jaguars today are mainly in South America and parts of Central America, but the giant jaguar inhabited those regions along with areas farther north, through the United States, as far north as places like Maryland and Nebraska. The giant jaguar was believed to be anywhere from 15 to 20% larger than today's jaguar. Today's jaguar can be 350 pounds, meaning our giant jaguar could be 420 pounds, possibly even more. Instead of 6 to 6.5 feet long, this extinct jaguar was more like 8 feet long. He was powerful and agile, just like his modern-day cousin. And then there was the bite, perhaps his most impressive quality of all. Here's the thing, in today's big cat scene, you're scared of the lion with a 650 psi bite force. Also, you're fearful of the tiger with a 1050 psi bite force. But the strongest bite among all cats belongs to the jaguar, 1500 psi. It's devastating. And though the bite force of the giant jaguar isn't known for certain, all the evidence from their remains suggests it was even stronger than today's jaguar. His bite could have rivaled that of the American lion. It could have even exceeded it. The giant jaguar wasn't as big as most American lions, but he was a formidable opponent, and all he needed to do was get close enough to clamp his jaws down, and that could very well spell game over. Cave bear. The American lion has had it tough seeing as how all these animals live nearby. He's a force to be reckoned with and a successful predator, but he's had all these other enormous animals to deal with. However, the cave bear, thankfully for the American lion, lived in Europe and Asia, one less prehistoric animal to contend with. But if he had to, he'd have just one more headache. The cave bear went extinct about 24,000 years ago, but he was gigantic, bigger than today's grizzly bear and one of the largest bears to ever roam the earth. His power was overwhelming. His body was similar to a brown bear, but even more stout and robust. 6.5 feet in length, maybe 7 feet, but could weigh over 1,300 pounds. That's just an average, and oftentimes far more. Possibly shorter in length than the grizzly, but weighing more. He was like a compact, dense nightmare. The fossil remains of cave bears show their teeth were large and had a great deal of wear, suggesting they tore through a lot of tough materials. And its bite was estimated to be as strong as the bites of grizzlies and polar bears, perhaps stronger. The cave bear was one of the strongest bears of his time, and could go toe-to-toe with the American lion, and could have brought him down on plenty of occasions. Luckily for the American lion, not only was the cave bear tucked away in caves, he was also on a totally different continent. That's one less dangerous animal for him to have had to worry about.